It's 2026 and the new year, and I know a lot of people probably do New Year's resolutions. I'm not a big believer in New Year's resolutions, but what I am a believer in is that at any moment in your life when you want to make a change, just go for it. And I think with the economy not doing so well, I think we can all feel that. Sometimes we can feel a sense of impotence and a lack of direction and wonder what it's all about and what the point is of staying in the work and the line of work that we're in, and consider where else we might want to better spend our energies. So over this month, we're going to be talking to a few women who've taken the brave decision to make big moves in their career. We're going to talk to them about what they did and why they did it, and try to get from them some inspiration for how we might choose to take these big decisions for ourselves. And so today we're going to speak to Jyoti, and I'll let Jyoti tell you about her story herself, and then we'll have a conversation.
Thank you so much. I'm Jyoti Patel. I'm an author and a consultant. And until early last year, I was working full-time for a tech company. I had a really big, shiny role. I was the global head of content. And it was a really great time for me leading up to that moment, in terms of I had so many great friends in the company and I really enjoyed working there. But in 2023, I published my debut novel. It's called The Things That We Lost. And I was on tour with my book, and I realized that I could no longer properly balance my big shiny corporate career with my creative career. And even though I really loved my job, I got to a point last year where I realized that I had to let it go and just jump into the unknown in order to really fulfill my purpose, which I really could feel. I really believed it was writing and connecting with authors and just being creative and leaning into my creativity. So I left my job in April, and I just dived deep into the unknown. I didn't have a backup plan. All I knew was that I really wanted to spend more time writing and nurturing my creativity. It was a really scary decision. Also, just being, a single woman, having bills, having a mortgage, and thinking I'm going from this really stable career to just backing myself and not having a backup plan. But it's actually the proudest thing I've ever done. I've never been prouder of anything I've done than having that belief in myself to leave and to just trust that the universe would catch me, and it really did. Because in the months after leaving, not only did my creative career flourish, but I also found a really beautiful way to still keep a leg in my corporate life. So I ended up consulting and working a couple of days a week for another company doing a very similar role. But because it was only 2 days instead of full time, I had 3 whole days in the week to do all of the things that fulfilled me in terms of my career as an author and a novelist. So I unexpectedly ended up mentoring young writers, which was so fulfilling. It wasn't something that I saw or I planned for, but it just appeared to me. And the young writers that I've worked with have gone on to get onto incredible creative writing programs, signed with agents, and it's been so fulfilling working with them. I also started working on a new creative project, a new novel, which I'm so excited about. And after a year of not being able to write at all and feeling blocked, all of a sudden I was just so full of creativity and energy and light. It was an incredibly difficult decision, but I'm so glad that I took it. And I'm so glad that I backed myself and just threw myself into the unknown, because it's really worked out beautifully, and more beautifully than I could have imagined. I never thought it would be a possibility to have this consulting and keeping a foot in the corporate space and using that part of my brain and still keeping a foot in that part of my life, but then also having all this time for the creativity. I never dreamt that something like that could exist for me.
Amazing. That's really cool. Well, first of all, congratulations on the book. Well done.
Thank you.
It's exciting. And on the upcoming, it sounds like you're working on a project that you're really excited about. Can I take a step back and just ask you about the emotional side of the decision that you took to leave? Because the way you've narrated it was just that it was all benefit and no cost.
Yeah.
But can I talk, and that's fine. Like, I understand why you've done that. And I'm sure with hindsight, it feels that way because it's worked out. But can we talk a little bit more about what precipitated that change on an emotional level? Like, what were you feeling at the time?
Yeah.
And what were you being asked to do that you couldn't do in your workplace? And what did you want to do?
Yeah.
That you just went after?
So it was a really hard decision. And for me, it was 100% the feeling of just waking up every day and knowing that this isn't my purpose. Like, I always felt that there was something else in my life that I really wanted to be focusing on, which was my creative career. And I could feel it on the periphery of my life and just almost like knocking at the window. And I just had to keep turning away from it to go and do my corporate job. And because I'd had this really big opportunity, I won a big literary prize in 2021, which led to me getting the book deal.
Wow.
And then the book, did really well. And I had a beautiful year on tour with the book. Because I'd had success in my creative career and I knew I could do it, the thing that was holding me back was time.
I see.
It was just time.
And I guess money.
And and it got to the point where I was like, it just was so clear to me that I could, with my corporate career, like I could keep climbing and I could do loads of like fun travel and I could, keep, stocking up the bank account. But then I realized actually like the real wealth for me isn't money, it is time. It's how much time we have. Like, I know so many people will say they want to work really hard so they can retire early. But then I'm like, with what health? Like, for me, having time when you're young and you're fit and you want to live in a fulfilling way is actually wealth. So that's what I realized. And I realized that the thing that I didn't have was time, to do things like see my friends, enjoy London, write, go and, do the events that I was being asked to do to promote my book. I was just exhausted all the time because I was giving so much of myself to my career.
I feel you.
Yeah. And I just think that there's like, we've been sold this sort of view that you have to always hustle and you have to be exhausted and you have to work really hard. It's just literally not true. Like, we can do things where we can find balance and find a way to nurture ourselves and still be super productive and really fulfilled. We don't have to be exhausted doing it.
No.
So I think when I realized that, I knew that I had to make a change. And it wasn't easy. It's like I say, I have financial responsibilities for myself. I have a certain lifestyle and I wanted to find a way where I could,
maintain that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I also loved the work. Like, that's the thing. It wasn't like I wanted to leave the work. Like, I loved the people I worked with. I loved the work. So finding a way that I could, like, forging a path where I could do both, which I've done now, was just literally my dream. So that I can still sort of keep a foot in that world, do the strategic, fun consulting bit without being deeply embedded in a business. And then also have so much time to go to cafes, to write, to go to exhibitions, to like feed my creativity and really take my career as an artist seriously.
Yeah, I think the one thing that creative careers are not known for is, for the most part, making a lot of money.
Yes.
Right? So I think it's always a big leap of faith in yourself that you will somehow make it work, because you have all these commitments that you must you must meet. At the same time, you have a duty to yourself to just thrive and be happy and do the things that help you grow.
Absolutely.
Can I ask, we met through a mutual friend, Trisha, and we met through the Level Up Network, Trisha's Level Up Network. Can I ask how networks like Trisha's have, well, in your case specifically, how that played a role in giving you the strength to do it, or where that came in, and how that might for other people?
I think seeing people who look like me, who've grown up in cultures like me, like I'm British Gujarati, and seeing other women particularly live in a way and forge careers and create balance in their life that you wouldn't think traditionally would be afforded to them. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, especially Trisha's community is so full of women who are doing such incredible creative work.
Yeah.
They're killing it. They're also, some of them are like incredible businesswomen like you, and are really balancing like their passions and their creativity with like, okay, how can I do this and live a fulfilling life and pay my mortgage and pay my bills? And seeing so many women in a space who are doing things that are like quite radically different to the way that we've been conditioned or raised, and saying, no, there is another way where I can be happy and I can be creative and I can be fulfilled. I think that really inspired me.
Yeah.
And when you're around people who are doing it, it feels possible for you
Yes.
as well.
Of course. It's infectious.
It is
for sure.
infectious, and it's just inspiring. And when you're around, when you're literally this close to someone who's doing something that you admire and that you think is really cool, that does rub off.
Absolutely.
The energy rubs off.
And I think that's also part of why I want to bring these stories out, because if you don't see it, you don't know it's available to you.
Exactly.
But it's so common. We're just normal women.
Yeah.
Grew up in very ordinary places.
Yeah.
And we've managed to do things that are interesting, but we've taken a very deliberate decision to do that.
Exactly.
And I think that's what it comes down to. It's the decision, and then of course the execution matters, but the decision is the bit that involves, the head and the heart.
And I think when, you were saying earlier about how did I come to that decision? And it was really a gut feeling. And I think as women, so many of us are like so deeply conditioned to ignore that gut feeling, or to say, oh, that's just anxiety, or it's just overthinking, or to push it down. And when I really started listening to my gut feeling, when I was waking up every day and I was going to work, but there was this pull of like, this is not the path I'm meant to be on. I think I said to Trisha at one point that just before I left my career, I said to her, I feel like I've gone down a cul-de-sac, a dark cul-de-sac, and I feel like the path I'm meant to be on is running parallel to mine, the one that I'm on. And I don't know.
They're out of reach. That is
And I was like, I don't know how to get from this cul-de-sac. I can't see a through road to the part that I'm meant to be on, but I can see it through the foliage. And she was like, you're such a writer. And I was like, hey, no. But also, I was like, that's how I feel. I feel like I'm watching the part that I'm meant to be on, but I just don't know how to get there.
Wow.
And what it took was like a massive leap of faith and backing myself. But that gut instinct of like, I'm not meant to be doing this. This can't be it. And for many people, it was their dream career. There's another version of me for whom that was my dream career. But
you didn't take the decision.
I didn't, no.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I would say to any woman or any person really who's thinking about making a big change in their life is to just remember, like one of my friends once said to me, this isn't a dress rehearsal. Like you don't get another go. And it really blew my mind open. I kept thinking about that. But like, I'm never going to be in my early 30s again. Like this is it, So it was a piece of advice that it would keep playing in my mind. And I would say, like, listen to your gut and keep reminding yourself that like, this is your one chance and you have to choose what's going to make you happiest, even if it means taking a pay cut, even if it means disappointing people in your life. Like it's your life. And I think for so many women who come from like mixed backgrounds or minority backgrounds, so much of like how I was raised was, have a stable life, like take the safe option and actually
don't take risk.
Yeah. And actually, like if your gut is telling you to take a risk, the worst you can do is it doesn't work out and then you tried, and that's beautiful anyway. Life is, it's called a human experience. It's not called a human easiness or joy or happiness. Like it's about experiences. And even if not all of them work out, the fact that you tried and that you backed yourself and that you experience what it feels like to try, even if it doesn't work out, is everything ultimately.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say is follow your gut. And remember, it isn't a dress rehearsal. You only get one go.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Jyoti. It was so lovely to meet you and have you talk to us.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.